renew the agreement with Lone Star Ambulance Services?
I would like for us to discuss it.
We got to put it on the table first.
So I haven't asked for a motion quite yet, so we want to just kind of briefly touch on where we are with this. There wasn't the request for an increase, and then it was going to be $2,000 a month, and then they came back and asked for another increase, which was going to be another $6,000. So it was going to be about $8,000 a month,
So it's
an increase. So, okay, so knowing that information, do I hear a motion?
Can we look out, can we make a motion
To discuss only?
discuss or?
For sure,
Yeah,
yes.
well, I mean, I'll make a motion to go ahead and table it until,
Well-
and we should go off for bids.
That's what I was gonna
Okay,
ask if we could do that.
Yeah. Any other?
so we go with the, okay, so I have a motion from Councilman Huerta to table the action. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
So I have a second by Councilman Candela
So the
Can you
motion
give me
was
the
to
numbers
table.
again?
to table,
It's
And to
2,000 a month,
go out for
and it was
bid?
going up to
Wait.
well, to table it,
Okay,
and then,
Well, we're gonna discuss it anyway.
okay, I got you.
Okay.
so we're gonna go ahead and move forward with any discussion here.
Okay. You said how much a month?
So the initial was up here, if you can make that a little bit bigger, sir. It was an increase of 2,000 a month.
2,000.
So that's what you were planning, paying, 2,000.
No,
They wanted an increase.
It's going up.
Okay, so what's the bottom line we're paying a month?
Right now, we pay
14.
14.5. So they wanted 16, but then they came back and did another update where they wanted to bring it up another 6,000, which was going to be about 8,000, an increase of 8,000, which was going to be basically an increase of $72,000 a year.
And they had already said to,
By email of August 6th, which is on the screen, Daniel Gillespie, Chief Operating Officer of Allegiance Mobile Health, indicated, "Good morning, the initial 5-year term expires this year," which is true, and he acknowledged that there's a provision to renew it for 3 years if the parties agree. When he made that statement, he also said to see if we could increase the subsidy by $2,000 a month. Having looked at it, to me, when I saw that, that's $2,000 on top of the $14,500. 5 years seems like a reasonable amount, and based upon that, I suggested to the city administrator that you could move forward with that negotiated increase. Before I made that statement, I did reach out to another provider in another community to see what it would cost to maintain one unit, and they said, probably a good deal, go for it. So when we were working on the draft of the budget this last week, the suggestion was made that you have a special meeting tonight before the budget in order to accept the offer of an increase of $2,000. When the vendor was given notice that it was on the agenda, he sent an email.
You had a question, Shalanda?
well, I was gonna say, so it sounds, he had already said 2,000 and then he comes back and, can they do that? Like,
Well, that's
he
what
already-
he's saying, that's what Paul's saying.
Well, because it wasn't
He can
on
do that.
paper. I
Yeah,
mean,
he can do whatever he wants.
Accept it before he changes his mind.
Yeah, he can do whatever he wants.
Now he can
He's gonna show us a second email.
Okay. Wow.
We are paying per month this much. Monthly. Here we go. I put in a smaller increase for the first 3 years and then froze it for years 4 and 5. And put a table, or is it at the end, Sal? There we go.
It's in here, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So the 14.5 was going up to 20,500.
Page 7.
4.1.
Oh, right there. I think this one you did it. Oh, right there.
Oh, I got, this is my copy that I got at the, so I don't have that in there.
And so,
So he's going up 6,000.
the first year,
First year only. Then 8,000 next year.
And then 10,000.
The next 3 years.
Oh my.
Yeah.
So,
and so the contract status was forwarded to the city of attorney. And do you want to,
At that point, I was asking what are options, what are alternatives here? You know, because there was a lot of loose words like would like to, you know, this sort of step, and that they hadn't increased their rate since 2019. And that's why I'd asked, can you just creep it up? And this is what the offer they made. So he said, our attorney basically said, yeah, they can, and you can go out for bid. There are some provisions, and we have to look at that a little closer about, in the meantime, if the contract expires, the obligation by Allegiance to sort of assist us with services until we.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it would say on a month-to-month basis.
Yeah.
If the contract expires.
Right.
Usually that's how all contracts.
And Mr. Gillespie did say that if we decide to do an RFP or RFQ, that he would help us with that too, so.
and so as the city attorney indicated, the city can continue to negotiate on the amount to be paid or advise the ambulance service that the city will not be renewing the contract once it is expired and advertise for a new ambulance contract.
so I've reached out, made some phone calls over the last couple of days, and there are 3 additional services. Tri-County is one of them, which services are Pass and Ingleside. And then there's 2 other ambulance services in the area also. So I think it would be a good idea for, Sal to kind of work to maybe work with the EPI about getting RFP. I don't know if it has to be an RFP or an RFQ.
We don't know the rate.
We won't know. We could probably just get some kind of basic information from them. But until we actually put out a request for quotes or, qualifications or whatever, we really won't know what their actual numbers are. We'll have to kind of go over the contract that we've had with Alliance all these years to make sure that the scope is the same. So we're at least getting the same services. So, yes, Mr. Bree.
When the increase initially was presented to me, there was dialogue with regards to whether or not the city could simply add some money to a fee to the water bill to cover. And the answer is no, because of the type of city that you are. It is what happens in Portland, but Portland's a home rule and you're not. There was also some discussion and consideration about, well, maybe an emergency service district an existing emergency service district could be expanded, because Nueces County number 3 actually has property within Sampat County within its jurisdiction. Emergency service districts can generate funds through a taxation limited to 10 cents on the rate. In addition to that, Nueces County is probably one of 5 multi-county districts within the state. And after visiting with Nueces County Emergency District number 4, turns out that the extent of the extent of Sampat County that is in their district generates $700 in tax revenues, and it came about because the river location changed. An emergency service district is created by initially a vote to the Commissioners Court to authorize an election. Your citizens who would be within the district then vote as to whether or not there would become a district. If the vote passes, the Commissioners Court sets an initial board of directors, and you move forward from there. It's probably a 1.5 or 2-year process, but it might be something to consider in terms of how to pay for this contract. The budget before you reflected the $24,000 as originally set forth in the email. I'm not sure what the expectation of the existing incumbent.
When does the contract expire? When? Well, if it's effective October 1st, it expires.
The existing one expires September 31st
September 31st.
Of this,
of this year.
wow,
We need to look at the old
Okay.
contract
yeah.
to see if they're gonna go on a month to month. I mean, this one does say that they'll help us out.
Okay.
If later we wanna bail out, but it's not agreed yet.
So why don't we look at the old contract and see if we do that, and let's go out for bids,
I agree.
see what we find.
Yes, sir,
We
yes,
might
sir.
find something else.
Question on Article 4
Of
of the contract.
the new contract.
This one here, whatever it is.
That is the
Okay,
proposed
it says
contract.
5 years. When is that 5 years? It started when that first, we got the first contract, and then it says additional 3.
Started in 2019.
That's what we're saying.
Look at the old
one.
This is a new one.
Oh, this is a new
This is a new
one.
one.
Oh,
So we want to look at the old one.
yeah, what, oh, so we don't have the old one? I thought it was, old.
I looked at the articles where it says that they'll help if we do not,
okay.
we gotta give 60 days, or they give 60 days if they want out or we want out, and they'll help us out, but that's the new one. What is the old one?
So the old one is on your screen.
Okay.
It should say the same, I
Can
believe.
you make it a little bigger?
How can you say 60 days and it's already can be September?
Can you get me to
Maybe
this
60
provision?
days.
Okay, so I can, okay, keep on going. Determination, keep
We
on,
gave us 30 days.
keep on. Don't read that one.
There's the 14.5.
No,
Okay, keep on.
termination.
It says 90 days.
But that's prior to the end of the existing contract.
I know, and they didn't give us 90 days.
Well,
Think about it.
it came about because of questions during the budget process. All right.
Right there.
Safety?
6.2.
We're at 5 years and then it says 3 years, so
Well, automatically renews.
3 years.
If the parties agree, so you can pay their fee to renew and then cancel.
This Allegiance will make good faith effort to assist city in the locating another provider.
Suffice it to say, I think the direction which the council is providing to your administrator is to pursue a new contract in terms that are perhaps more favorable than what has been proposed.
Yeah.
To do that, you are authorizing him to go out for an RFP, RFQ for a replacement service contract.
Yes.
So I think what we'll do is,
You're tabling the agenda item.
yeah, since we have a motion to table the agenda item, I think we all are in agreement that, we'll have Sal kind of look into what options we have, maybe look to see if we need to have an RFP or an RFQ put out. He can work with Epi on that. We might be able to get one from one of the other local cities around here that has done that recently, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. And then just have Epi and Sal work on that, and just keep us up to date, by email, see how things are going. And hopefully, obviously probably won't have anything by this, but, we might be able to report next Tuesday at the regular meeting, where we are with that. And then maybe October, November, we can move forward with So,
I'm not gonna practice law. This is, well,
We're going to.
this is,
For bids.
this is public record.
Yeah, so,
Yeah. It's public record.
yeah, I know.
Whatever they
Are we looking at some numbers close to that, under that?
We don't know
no, we don't know.
until,
We just put it out for bids.
yeah.
Well, the distinction between an RFP and an RFQ, just to review, is that if it's an RFP, they're submitting a proposal and there's not a lot of wiggle room with that. And you'd have a hard time justifying not going necessarily with the low bid. For an RFQ, which covers services, and I'll be honest, I don't know if ambulance services qualify for an RFQ, but based upon your request for proposals, you then go through a ranking process and the council determines who best fits your needs for services, and then a negotiation process starts. If you're able to reach an agreement with them, you may proceed forward to a contract. If you don't, you can go back to one of the other bidders and pursue negotiation at that point.
So again, moving forward, we'll have Sal kind of go over this with Epi and see what would be probably best in our best interest, if it's a RFQ or an RFP. And then he'll just kind of give us an update, at the next meeting, Sal, next week, on see what you and Epi kind of come up with. And so we're going to go ahead and move forward. If there's no more discussion, we have a motion to table. We have a second. We'll move forward with the vote. Place 1?
Yes.
Place 2?
Yes.
Place 3?
Yes.
Place 4?
Yes.
Place 5?
Yes.
Okay. The motion to table carries. Item C, discuss, consider, and take action to review the policies for Texas windstorm insurance. Again, discuss, consider, and take action to renew the policies for Texas windstorm insurance as well as liability and property insurance. Do I have a motion?
I make the motion that we go ahead and renew the policies for the Texas windstorm insurance and liability property insurance.
I have a motion by Councilman Huerta. Do I have a second?
No, second.
And I have a second by Councilman Dominguez. So we'll move on to a discussion. Sal, do you have that information?
You all have, I try to summarize as best as possible. So the first page you have is,
If you go to the third orange tab,
Let's say Claudia Poblano.
and then go to the page immediately before it.
this one here.
That's fine. Okay,
No,
so
that's-
go, well, I don't either, but
That was on page 20 of the one. Actually,
I went like this and pulled this. I just did this.
So,
It's right after the contract, right after the ambulance contract.
She got it right, yeah, 35. I'm trying to put this one back.
also right after the
Right after the contract.
EMS
Yes.
contract. So right after the EMS contract, what Sal says is just here. What do we got?
that's the beginning. And the page right before the orange tab shows you the summary totals by year. One more, there you go.
Okay, I got you. No problem.
this came loose.
Well, no.
You're buying these from where, Walmart?
No,
Dollar
we
Tree.
recycled them.
Nothing wrong with Dollar Tree.
That's the teacher's number one shopping spot.
You're not sticky.
That's what's wrong.
All right, Sal?
And that's where I was at. I just saw that news, sir.
It's, I mean, it's kind of goes into detail of the new coverage, but basically what you're seeing is that it's actually going down about $5,000
In total.
in total.
For the year?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, you were paying 138,000 this last year, and it's going down to, and some change, and then it's going down to 125,771. So, yeah, about 5,000.
And for clarity's sake, that's your windstorm coverage.
Right, just the windstorm.
And that covers everything that we had last
All the
year, right?
buildings?
All the buildings, everything, no changes to the coverage, right?
Right, and that there will be some changes because between this and the surplus and then the sales and vehicles, we need to remove some of the equipment off of there, so that should help.
Also the vehicles, but as far as building wise,
Building wise, same
It's
stuff.
the
Yeah,
same coverage,
nothing's-
okay.
Nothing's changed.
well, I think, I mean, 5,000 less here, but 8,000 more over there.
So you're,
And this is for a year, right? Or this is per month also?
That's for the year.
You
For the year.
You have a
You have an
payment,
option.
you have a payment plan.
You
Yeah,
have
we
an
can-
option to do 2 installments.
Right, I think we've been paying quarterly.
no fee. It sounds, looks like there's no fee, right?
Yeah.
It's the same.
So I think that's kind of a good, so I think we should go ahead and move forward with the motion to renew the policy. Does anybody have any other?
We probably, well, I don't really need to cover the other liability also, so you can approve it all.
Oh, the liability
Each
and
policy
property.
is
Each policy?
separate.
Okay,
Where's the liability?
it'll be next, but Mr. Baines said probably should do each one.
Okay.
So just the windstorm right now, we can.
So make a motion to just approve the windstorm insurance and then, okay. So we have a motion from Councilman Huerta to approve, to renew the policy for the Texas windstorm insurance. And we had a second by Councilman Dominguez. There's no more discussion on the windstorm. We'll move forward with a vote. Place 1?
Yes.
Place 2? Place 3?
Yes.
Place 4? Place 5? Okay, so we'll move on to the liability and property insurance.
So it should be the second orange tab,
Third.
Third orange tab.
third, sorry. Lost mine too. So you have a summary there. We were trying to get numbers directly from TML, but they were just providing percentages. So Mr. Ben and I worked on getting just a summary based off of last year's numbers. So you'll see for like from general liability through auto physical damage, it's going from 29,935 to 30,335. But in between there, you'll see some. I think there's some reductions in there. Let's see. For example, like law enforcement liability, obviously that went down. And it's on average about 9% reduction in some of these areas. And then you go down to the RPP building value down to mobile equipment. We're going from 15,742 to 17,771. And then in workman's comp, we're going actually down from 17,595 to 10,221. And then in total, so there's a clerical error. You probably have 50,000, but it's actually $58,027. So the type of
That's the savings?
That's the total amount we're gonna be spending.
Okay.
From
Yeah, from
63,000 to 58,000.
Right. Right. So
Just out of curiosity, why did it drop so much on, workers' compensation?
Your-
Fire somebody?
Your PD department is not on the policy.
Yeah,
So
They're adjusting for the change in staffing level.
but again, to be clear, it's not 50 like y'all have now, it's 58,027.
okay. So instead of the 50,000.
Right, on the bottom there, you'll see in orange, so that should be $58,027. And that's going down from 63,272.
And that's per year. I mean,
Yes, that's for the next fiscal,
Right,
fiscal
and
year.
it is also paid on a quarterly basis. The third page and the fourth page after the tab is the explanation and change on a policy by policy or coverage by coverage basis.
is that from the email from Claudia?
Right, yeah. So
Yes,
you'll see
August
like
20.
automobile liability, 7% increase, RPP, real, and personal property, 9% increase and 3% increase for inflation, 3% contents. The boiler and machinery rate increase, 9%. I think that's a new one, isn't it? That's one of the new
Yes.
ones. That's a new one. So we weren't paying anything before, but now it's being applied. And then those are pretty much the increases there. Everything else, there was no rate change.
And the boiler and machinery, I mean, what is that covering? I mean, what is?
Like I said, that's a fairly new one, but it's something that they're applying. So we can dive into that and I can get back to you on that.
But again, as far as coverage, the coverage is all the same. It's just the difference in the percentage of whether it's going up or down.
Correct.
Okay.
And like I said, in that email from Claudia, you'll see where the rate changes are. That's one too.
All right.
Right. And the fifth and sixth page after the tab gives you the coverages in dollar amounts. For instance, the real and personal property is valued at $9.2 million. And it breaks it down between the flood, the earthquake, the mobile equipment, employee dishonesty that was added last year.
Okay.
Everything goes good.
Earthquake.
Yeah,
Earthquake.
that's good. The TWIA of it, it looks pretty good because, normally they go up a little bit.
What do you say?
There was a huge increase last year.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
well, everywhere across Texas, everybody was arguing that, why are we getting hit? No, the West people were saying, why are we getting hit? We're trying to throw it all on us. But that's why there was an increase.
Does anybody have any more discussion on that? So we have a motion by Councilman Huerta again to renew the liability and property insurance, and a second by Councilman Dominguez. If there's no more discussion, we'll move on with the vote. Place 1,
Yes.
place 2, place 3,
Yes.
place 4, place 5. So motion carries to renew our liability and property insurance.
I don't know why they put earthquake.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, but there's some.
Fracking.
Fracking.
Hey, there's some.
Fracking. So we'll move forward to item 3, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion to adjourn by Councilman Falcon. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Dominguez. If there's no more discussion, this meeting is adjourned and we'll move on. If we're gonna take a break, anybody need to go to the baño or something?
At 7:05.